Welcome to Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. We're a bunch of mega fans giving you the news, discussion, and of course, a whole lot of opinions about Brandon's work and the Cosmere. I'm Eric, and joining me is Ian.
Hey, I'm WeiryWriter, and I would like to lodge a formal complaint against Eric for using biased language in the odium versus passion debate.
Oh, I mean, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Well, you know what? I write the descriptions, so you know who's going to stop me. Who's going to stop me? Also joining me.
Off to a great start, guys.
Also joining me is David.
I'm Windrunner on the forums, and I have no current complaints, but I'll get back to you on that in case anything develops.
Welcome to Complaint Cast, where we lodge complaints against me. Also joining me is Ben.
Hi, I'm Overlord Jebus on Discord and the forums.
And I'm very sad that this isn't a video podcast because you're wearing a bathrobe and it's top tier.
Yeah, it's because it's really hot and I don't want to wear clothes.
Yep. And lastly, is Grace.
Hello, I am GatorGirl on the forums, and I will second Ian's complaint.
Look, just because you guys are wrong, and you will be proven wrong eventually, this is fine. It's
okay. Fine. Grace, you're back to being my favorite.
Thank you. Good.
Wait, there's favorites?
Sorry.
Oh, man.
I don't realize we had to have
Sorry,
favorites.
Death on the Discord.
And I'm Chaos. This week, we're going to talk about Words of Brandon from the two recent conventions, MisCon and BookCon. I was at MisCon, and Ian finally got to meet Brandon at BookCon.
Yep.
How was that, Ian?
It was really great.
Do you have a formal complaint to lodge against BookCon for its signing?
Yes.
Do tell.
Oh, God, what happened?
So, with BookCon, you had to have a ticket to get into the autograph signing. The tickets were free, but they went on sale in quotation marks, and then all of Brandon's tickets were gone in 10 minutes. So, and I did not get one.
Oh.
Though, he did open it up, after all those tickets were gone.
Great.
Good. But most people didn't know that because they assumed they needed a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Of course not. That's dumb.
Oh, that sucks.
But I was able to meet up with Brandon and get some stuff signed, which I will talk about later.
Yeah. So I'm going to blab about MisCon because I was there. David was going to be there, but then couldn't.
Yep.
Because he's lame.
One day I will meet Brandon for a second time.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, we were there at SpoCon together, David.
Yeah.
MisCon was great. Got to meet a lot of sharders and a lot of people. Signing lines went really fast. And it was really good. Brandon also I don't know, called me out on stage. It was weird. It was really weird. It was weird. He just said "oh hey" to me. It was odd. I didn't like that.
At least you didn't get an Argent style call out where as soon as he saw you, he went, "Oh, they let you in, did they?"
Yeah, he was just "oh hey." Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. There was an evening where Brandon just said, after one of his panels, "Yo, I'm just gonna be at this one hotel room to hang out later tonight." And it's yeah, I'm gonna hang out there. Hell yes. And so a lot of people were just there and just asked Brandon questions. And I know this is deeply important to all Shardcast listeners. I told Brandon about the boombox and showed it to him. Yeah.
What was his reaction?
He was like, "What?" And then because I have him an ebook, so I just grabbed him up and showed it to him.
This is from the White Sand graphic novel, by the way.
Yeah. Sorry. From the White Sand graphic novel, in volume 1, in the middle of the desert, when Kenton's waking up, there is something that looks like a boombox or a radio. Brandon thought it looked more like a radio, personally, than a boombox.
I would say more like a radio.
It is more like a radio.
Boombox is more fun.
Kenton,
Exactly.
get me my boombox. Yes, that's my Lord Mastro impression. If you forgot, but it's great, top tier comedy. And Brandon later said that is not canonical, just so you guys know. So that's good.
Wait, there's a flaw with the White Sand graphic novel?
We have not gotten confirmation yet on whether the ceiling fan and horse are canonical or not yet.
Oh, I told him about that too, I think. Yeah, I told him that it was a ceiling fan. I don't think he had a response, but I think I told him about that. And a horse.
I'm sure it's just
but I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's like, oh no, they've noticed the ceiling fan. Turns out that's the villain for the Cosmere Wide.
Yeah. Continuity
If I
is
remember
hard for the graphic
correctly,
novels.
he did make a comment about how that it would be cool if that could be turned into a Cosmere Easter egg due to Cosmere travel and stuff, but he thought it was taking place too early in the timeline for that to be feasible.
I want to go to the
'cause
planet
it's
that has
pre-Elantris.
boom boxes. Pre-Elantris.
It was actually just created by the shard of I don't know.
Autonomy.
Ingenuity.
The shard of sick beats.
Yes.
That's a shard. Oh, by the way, guys, if you are thinking this podcast will be boring, worry not. There is a spicy word of Brandon that might maybe relate to a shard, and we're gonna talk about that a lot and argue about it a lot. So it'll be great.
Yeah.
So why don't we just get into these?
Let's just jump right in.
Yes. So for the first wob in this episode, the questioner asked, if you store one type of investiture in a Nigrosoul mind, for example, if you store Stormlight, could you retrieve it as another type? Brandon, it's possible. Inaudible. It's not quite as simple as you might think.
Which makes sense, because I never thought that it would be easy to just...
Mhm.
I always assumed in Nigrosoul mines, you get to store a particular type of investiture, and then you draw that particular type of investiture out. You don't just get to, whoa, now it's breath crazy, whoa!
Yeah.
You don't get to do that.
with tin, if you store sight, it's not like you can pull out hearing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would make sense that it would be the same way.
This honestly confuses me even a little more, because I thought storing investiture was storing your ability to use that investiture and not just storing the actual energy itself. So I don't really even know how you would store Stormlight.
It's a bit funny right now with Nigrosoul mines, because just saying you can install investiture means nothing.
Mhm.
And so it is whether, are you storing ability? Are you storing fuel? Can you store both? So when he says it's not quite as simple as you think, there is... I mean, this goes back to one of my old wobs about unassociated investiture. I don't think there'd be a way of, unless we find a way of manipulating the investiture inside of metal mines, I don't think there'll ever be a way of putting Stormlight into a metal mine and getting breath out. But if we do end up being able to manipulate investiture in I say we, like I live in the Cosmere or something.
Just a little bit.
As you do.
And if they are ever able to manipulate investiture in a metal mine, absolutely I think this will eventually be a possible thing. But I do wonder if there's a way of storing raw, unformed investiture that you can just pull out in whatever form you need. A bit like unsealed investiture kind of thing? Unkeyed investiture?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
So, touching on what Windy was saying about it storing your ability to use investiture as opposed to the fuel, is that technically, I think you're storing the investiture in your soul web that allows you to use it. So it's it is technically the same thing. You're not storing an ability, you're storing the investiture that allows you to use that ability. Which is a subtle difference.
Which still seems different than Stormlight to me.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. But
it has to be a property of the spirit web, because if you think about all the other fair chemical, spiritual metals, spiritual things, there's connection. That's a property, right?
Mhm.
Identity, that's a property. And as we'll see later, fortune is also a property. And so, if investiture is listed in that, then I feel like that's the property of, your innate investiture kind of thing. Kind of like that.
The property of having the ability to use investiture.
I guess.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But remember that Brennan doesn't always put things in nice, neat boxes.
Well,
Like,
that's true.
there is
Yeah.
some messiness to the magic. As we
Like
see
hybrid
with
metals.
Some intentional, some not.
yeah.
If you didn't know, there's one metal that really shouldn't be in the mental category for ferrochemy, and so he had to rearrange how things worked a little bit.
Yeah, bronze and electrum, I think.
Yeah,
had their
determination and
attributes swapped.
warmth.
Yeah. They should not be in the same. They should, yeah.
Well, they're in the opposite spots from where they
Yeah,
should.
right. Yeah. Mm-hmm, yeah.
So
Rune of preservation.
determination
decided to make
should be
things
a
go.
mental one, but like warmth is somehow cognitive.
You feel warm.
If you believe it hard enough.
I remember people initially trying to figure that out. They're like, I think it's just you feel warm. You're storing your feeling of warmth. And everyone's like, that doesn't make.
We were one of the Era 3 characters was a Nicrosil Allomancer, right?
Yeah, for the SWAT team.
Wasn't a Nicrosil ferrochemist though.
Yeah. Well, if you're just a Nicrosil ferrochemist, I don't know if you do anything too important unless
I
you're
guess
getting
that's
turned
true.
into a
I guess that's
spike.
true.
Yeah.
I guess that's true. But I feel like we will see this ability in great detail later and what
Yes.
that means.
I think Nicrosil ferrochemy will become very, very important once the magics start interacting in like Era 4.
Oh,
Yeah,
hugely,
'cause if-
definitely.
If you were like a Radiant and you got an unsealed metal mine, like what could you do with this stuff? Like it'd be crazy, right?
All right. For the next one, we have another unnamed questioner. Was Syl starting to bond with Tien before he died? No, good question. But Tien was starting to bond a different Spren.
Off the record, I totally fucked this up because this is all the same word of Brandon. I just anyway, continue.
And the questioner continues, I was suspecting he was bonding a Spren, but then Syl says at one point, just as she was coming over inaudible, so I was like, maybe. Brandon says, good question. No, he was going in a different direction. The questioner asks, can you tell me? And Brandon says, Lightweaver.
I knew
Shock-
it. I
shocker
knew
to
it.
all.
I knew it. I knew it.
Oh, I have never liked the Tien was a Lightweaver theory.
I've not been a huge fan before as well.
I don't even know if this necessarily implies that he was bonding like a cryptic at that point, but just that like he was the sort of person that was heading in a direction that would be good for that, because he definitely does the sort of thing that Shallan does, where he's like comforting Kaladin, and Kaladin gets like the same feeling from him. So I kind of think it might be more a personality like trait than it is Tien's got a cryptic following him around and then he dies.
So, with this confirmation, the letter stating that there was another Proto-Radiant in Amaram's army as well as Kaladin, I would be shocked if that wasn't Tien. That must be Tien. Like, Tien must be that other Proto-Radiant. Yeah, it must be.
I guess. I feel like I don't care though. Like that'll come out later, and like, maybe that'll be big for Kaladin. But like, just like, oh, your brother who died that you're really sad about was bonding a Spren. That would have been cool. I guess. No, though.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter, and it's like whatever.
Yeah, I guess that's sort of always been my problem with this theory. Is with Tien's flashbacks, I felt like he's just enough. Like, I don't feel like he needs any more. He was a Proto-Radiant, adding depth or whatever to his character.
I don't think that it's going to come up in the story. It's just a neat background thing that...
Yeah.
It's more for Brandon than for the book itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually started listening to The Way of Kings, the graphic audio version with my parents.
Yeah.
And I was... there's a scene where Kaladin is talking about how Tien has this collection of rocks, and he can remember how each and every one is special, which reminded me of the Lightweaver like memory thing.
Yeah, and he's
kids are just like that though. Like, have you met children? They are weird. Like,
wow.
Yeah. He's really arty too, though. Like he makes that little horse that Kaladin thinks is like incredibly beautiful. Like he's got like a lot of traits that like link him in that direction.
I feel like the counter argument is just like, do we need another Radiant that's like related to Kaladin type thing, which is fine, you know.
Which is why I don't think it will come up.
Yeah. Again.
It might
it's
be
already come
mentioned
up once. It's already come up once, but it won't be mentioned again or mean anything. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the sort of thing that Brandon would talk about in the annotations, I think, if we were still getting
I can see that.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
This next one is from an unknown questioner. When you're sad with a Seon, especially when you're a kid, would it nuzzle you and tell you nice things? Brandon. It would definitely tell you nice things. Seons barely have any weight to them, and touch, and so nuzzling is not a natural instinct, I would say, for them. But they will definitely comfort you. Questioner. Okay. But they're not born? Brandon. No, not really anymore. They were all created kind of around the same point.
Yeah, that last part's why I included that, not necessarily the first part.
I love the thought process that might have to have gone through for that first part, where someone read Elantris and they were like, "Can I cuddle my Seon? Is that a thing?"
Look, it's fine.
I'm going to ask Brandon this. This is really important information for me to know.
So
nice.
I remember listening to this, and I think the questioner was actually trying to ask, so they're not warm? And Brandon heard born.
Oh, interesting. Oh, okay.
Oh, that definitely okay. Because I was like, that's a really abrupt subject change there for the second half.
Yeah,
okay.
that's kind of.
We should
They're
probably
like, "Can I
fix that.
cuddle them? Were they born?" Yeah.
Well,
Right,
I
let's
was
just be-
thinking maybe the they don't have any weight to them, sort of connecting to that somehow. I don't know.
Yeah, Brandon's probably just so used to us trying to pry things out of him about the Seon's origin that he's just automatically no, not really. Yeah, they all happen.
Raffo.
Yeah.
We do know that they were tied to the splintering in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But,
They were
created all
changed
kind of around the
by
same
it.
point. That's
well, they did not exist before it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I
This
guess
seems a little more explicit.
this makes me a tiny bit confused though, because I kind of thought that they were getting replenished in some way, even at least minorly, new ones were coming into existence, but I guess not. Because
No.
Elantrians might have been able to make new ones, maybe. There was Aeons at the center, so Elantrian may have been able to,
yeah, I thought that was a minor thing though, and that that there were no more, and they weren't being replenished since a lot of them had been there were no more Seons kind of by the time we were reading Elantris, or they were all not present commonly.
Don't know what's going on with the Seons.
Yeah, he always left that as we'll talk about this in another book. In Elantris,
that will one day come out.
I'm gonna love having an Elantris sequel where Brandon's just so much better of a writer than
Oh my
Elantris.
god, it'd be so good.
Just going from one to the
Can
other.
you imagine Elantris but good? That'd be amazing.
I
like
Elantris.
I like
Elantris got
Elantris.
me into Brandon.
I read Elantris after Mistborn Era 1, Way of Kings, and Warbreaker, and then I was like, I'm going to give Elantris a go, and that was a struggle.
See, I read it last too, and I liked it, but
Yeah, I read it close to the end.
You just
of
need to
getting caught
not be a person who's really attached to good prose. Then you'll love Elantris great.
Yeah.
But
It'll
at
be
one point, Brandon was talking about having a Seon point of view character for.
That's right,
which
I remember
would be
that.
cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I just want to see what they think of the person they're bonded to.
Oh, there's
They love
I
the
cannot
person they
stand.
bonded to. That is their
I
emotion.
just want to see what that looks like in their minds, and how us as a human is is this Stockholm syndrome or something?
Oh god.
No, they're splinters
they're
of
actually
devotion.
eternally screening.
They're splinters of devotion. They're all very.
Yes, I'm sure they like it.
Or they think they do.
Or they think they do.
Yeah.
They're magically inclined to do so. That's just what they are.
That'll be Elantris book 3 is the Seon freedom movement
Is
when they're all getting
the
their
abusive
independence.
relationship with someone and their Seon? But I guess we already saw that with Thrathan, right?
Yeah, he didn't care for
sort
that
of.
thing at all.
No, not at all.
That was so keep it in that box. Oh well.
Let's move on.
Cool.
That was maybe
It's
the Seon.
interesting that he had to use a Seon.
Yeah.
Do Skazy not have the
I would
That's true.
skip.
Skype ability?
Oh, I don't think the Skazy would be okay with getting locked in a box.
Well,
Yeah.
a Skazy wouldn't have to be locked in a box.
I guess, yeah. I just don't know but they seem like they are kind of running the show, so I don't know if they would be a servant for someone that they're in charge of,
Yeah,
Sure.
they
even
might
if they
be,
were able to.
right under I don't know. It all depends on how that Fjordell politics goes, really, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, wasn't Horizon's Seon gonna be the Seon that is the POV character? Yeah,
Yes.
that'll be interesting.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
I forget everything about Elantris at this point.
I gotta
read that again.
get my stuff together on that. Let's move on, though.
This is why I'm a staff member, because I did the Aeon article.
That's right. That's true. That is true. If you want to be Coppermine staff, you just write a really long article.
One really good article.
Really good.
Right. Next question from Jess.
Who's very nice. Lives in the same city that I'm in. She's cool.
Yeah. The cognitive aspect of an object is the way that the object itself and others view it. Say the vessel of a shard started to view their power in somewhat different way than when they first got that power, and the people on the planet also start to view it that way. Would the intent/mandate of the shard be altered by that change? Brandon then replies, with some limitations, yes. Certain shards, certain vessels, believe it can go further than others believe it can go, but there is at least some wiggle room there.
Ha!
keeping it vague again.
Yeah. That's...
Don't pretend like this means you're right, Ian.
My entire argument is that there's wiggle room.
This is one of those answers when Brandon is like, this is a thing in-world people are debating.
Yeah, this is the exact same thing. Like, certain vessels believe things are possible that others don't agree with. Like, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. There is at least some wiggle room there. That is a definitive.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. But the shard odium, Ian, is still going to be about these primal things. Not like...
primal passions?
Yeah. Yeah. Things like that.
I haven't listened to the Odium versus Passion podcast yet, but I'll
Yeah. I'm just saying that's never gonna go away. That's what the shard is. They can call themselves whatever they want, but that's still gonna be there.
I was gonna say that I would say one of the few arguments we do, one of the examples we have of this is Lara 80 kind of turning ruin more into entropy was a thing that Brandon said on Twitter like the other day. Like
I think it was yesterday or today.
Oh, yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he said Ruin 80 fought against Ruin for so long, like that mandate or intent or nature or whatever you want to call it, that he kind of, when he did finally succumb to it, it kind of came up a bit more entropy.
Than like actual destruction. Okay.
It wasn't just destruction, it was more just natural destruction.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, I always thought with Ruin, like, you could have someone, like, if Race had Ruin, right?
Yeah.
He would be a lot more happy about destroying things, right?
Yeah.
You know, and where Ruin was just like,
this is what I do.
This is just the natural way things need to be. Like, this is how he had to wrap his brain around what this was doing, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was like, you know, there was no malice there. You could easily have someone holding Ruin and be very malicious with it.
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Destruction versus decay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, that really is just the other day.
Yeah.
Ruin Odium represents something else entirely. Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah. Let's read. Maybe let's just read this whole thing.
Just read that thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually going to suggest.
Yeah. Why don't we do that? I didn't even know that this is a thing. Alvaro Lopez asks, why Odium is stronger and worse evil than Ruin? Brandon, one reason is that Ruin had a person in control of it who, for many years, fought against the impulse to destroy, and in the end, channeled it toward entropy and decay, necessary elements of the universe. Odium represents something else entirely.
Okay.
My one way I thought of it was like, cool, so like Ruin was like the concept of something being on fire, and Odium wants to set things on fire.
I think it's a little more complicated than that, right?
A bit more complicated than that.
It's a lot more complicated than that, because Odium represents something very different than this, right?
That makes me more interested in seeing early Ruin, though, and like what he was like before he really succumbed.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Well, that's probably why they could make the deal in the first place to create things, right?
Yeah.
Right, because he didn't
more.
want to just instantly destroy things. It's just like, eventually things do need to, decay eventually, right?
Yeah.
But we can have some stuff for a bit. That's fine.
Yeah.
Right? That makes sense. Well, that was a nice tangent. Let's go back to MisCon, though.
So Jess also asked, can we get just a small tidbit or reveal of what Marasi is going to be doing in The Lost Metal?
Which is the sequel to Bands of Mourning.
Yes. Brennan answered, so opening scene of The Lost Metal is her and Wayne. It's a couple years later, and Bax is basically retired from that sort of thing. And Wayne is her deputy now instead. Mainly so she can keep him channeled in the right direction.
Good call.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good.
Cool.
I'm excited for that.
That makes me excited. I love hearing the first, the opening scene of a new book, because that just gets me, really, really, wanting to read it.
Yeah.
But
It's also interesting how there's another, a few years later, right? Isn't that kind of interesting?
Yeah.
A nice little time jump is cool.
It's just interesting that with Era 2, I feel like we've gotten a lot of different years of Era 2, whereas, Era 1 was pretty narrow. There was a year break between them. It covered time,
Wait,
but,
how much... Was there a huge gap between the books in Era 2? Because I thought it was just a couple... I'm pretty sure that took place in 341 and 342 mostly.
Oh, maybe that's right. Maybe this one's the only one that has a big gap.
I think it was
this is
6 months.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking about we got stuff with the prologue, so it feels like a lot longer.
It feels
right?
a lot longer.
They got
yeah.
flashbacks. We've got
right.
Oh yeah.
Also, I realized I've never heard anyone say Marasai's name out loud, and you say it way
Marasai?
different to me. Yeah.
Marasai?
I say Marasi, but yeah.
I say Marasi.
In America, we say Marasi.
Cool. Over this side of the pond, I'm going to continue saying Marasai.
I kind of like
you
that
say
a little bit.
Andalasium, okay? Okay, all right. You are not an expert of pronunciation unless you agree with me. Then you're an expert. That's how it goes on this show. Cool.
Alrighty. Oh, I get this next one actually hits close to home.
It does.
Yeah. So this is from Eric at JordanCon. You said that Gavilar's Black Sphere was something that it's what you expect it to be. Does that mean it's holding an unmade? Brandon, not necessarily. Voidlight can be trapped like Stormlight can. Unmade can be trapped like Spren can. Does not mean the sphere has an unmade. Thank goodness.
Okay.
Right. You specifically asked this because you wanted him to shoot down my theory, didn't you?
No, it's dumb that it's an unmade. It's stupid. It's
no,
stupid.
it was
yes.
fine. It was a fine theory.
No,
you just wanted to shoot me down.
No.
See,
You're out to get me, aren't you?
Well,
yeah,
yes, that's true.
I just don't know why he would be giving away unmade like hotcakes. He's just oh, here you go, Eshonai. Here's an unmade. Here you go, Seth. Here's an unmade. He's just got all of them.
He is a member of the Sons of Honor trying to bring back the Desolation, so I don't give him that many props for having smart plans.
But I would hold on to him at least. He doesn't even know Eshonai.
He didn't give the one to Zeth. Zeth killed him and took it, right? And then
he did give it to Zeth.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Zeth killed him, and then he was like, "Keep this safe for me."
Maybe. Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
I don't know.
I still didn't think it was that bad of an idea, but with Brandon specifically saying here, that doesn't mean it's an unmade. I'm like, okay, it's probably definitely not an unmade.
I don't know.
Thinking about it now, as a Son of Honor, maybe Gavilar would give away unmade to people who don't have any idea what it is, so that they can escape.
But wouldn't Brandon know how many spheres there were and how many unmade he had if they were unmade?
Can't he just let him out if he wanted to do that anyway? He's here you go.
He didn't know how, so he was like, hey, Singer, here's one of your gods, which is basically what he says. But, yeah,
I guess.
But
I don't know.
But if it's possibly Voidlight, that means maybe he's talking to to Ba'ado Mishram about something. And maybe she's under the Kolinar Palace where they're digging.
Yes, Ba'ado Mishram. Yeah. Wait, what were we talking about? Sorry, I got excited about Ba'ado Mishram. No, I wanted to ask this just because Brandon just gave such a troll answer at JordanCon, and I wanted to nail this down a little bit more specifically, and it was very irritating. And so with him it could be Voidlight, I'm like, it doesn't make sense for it to be an unmade. It's gotta just be Voidlight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I think so.
And then I had a good opportunity to ask this follow-up question for Arshara. You're welcome.
All right. Do you need a perfect gemstone to imprison an unmade or a powerful spren? Brandon. Yeah. Well, the stronger the spren, the better the gemstone needs to be. Those flaws in the crystal structure are going to lead to leaking if it's not. But an unmade requires an extra special level of perfection.
Good. Makes sense.
Yeah. Makes sense.
More powerful, better the gem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And
that seems perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, and kind of a small tangent though, but part of me wonders, like, is there a volume requirement on these gems for the unmade? Because, like, you know, like, if one was in, like, something sphere size, like, could you fit a whole unmade in something that's, like, the size of your thumbnail?
I don't think so.
You don't think so, or you do?
I do not.
Well, I mean, I think it's just a matter of, like, investiture. Like, the bigger the gem, the more you can hold, right? So
Mhm.
I feel
Yeah.
like they have to be a certain size for a big spren, right?
Like,
Yeah.
that was just my other curiosity about potentially an unmade being in those small gems, was would it even fit, even if it was a perfect gem?
Mhm.
But
Maybe perfect gems just have to be bigger, but I don't know. We don't know a lot about perfect gems, honestly.
I was gonna say, who was the geologist on the staff?
That would be David. Hey,
Oh, David, hey, cool.
you
So,
actually can't call me a geologist because that's a legal thing. We get told very clearly not to call ourselves
what can you call yourself? What can you call yourself?
I did recently receive my bachelor's degree in geological sciences, but yeah.
Cool.
But you
Right,
can't
what-
call yourself a geologist?
You can't. No, it's
What do
it's
you
an
have to
interest-
do to be a geologist?
There's a test, just like fundamentals of engineering or something like that. Like,
Are you going to take the test?
no, because I'm heading more in like an environmental remediation direction, probably.
Then we can't call you a geologist.
Ah,
So
Fine.
We don't
geologists
have any
basically
geologists
have
on
their
the
own
staff
bar
that we
exam.
know of.
cool. What I was
Anyway.
going to say was, my question was, I don't know if this is a geology or a chemistry question. When he talks about the crystal lattice of a gem, so like and having like gaps and holes in it, as far as I'm aware, like the way if you just got like a misshapen raw gem out of the ground and you just got like a bit of sandpaper and you just really got it into a perfect sphere and you just happen to be the best person ever, that still wouldn't have like a perfect crystal lattice that's spherical. That would just have a really jaggedy crystal lattice with lots of spherical holes in it, and it wouldn't hold anything.
Yeah,
Kinda,
no,
like-
yeah, that's true, and it's kind of like that is 100% accurate. Like like perfect gem is so specific that it makes me think that they were probably created because
That's what I was going to say.
even like, you know, like how when gemstones have colors, like that is due to different ions substituting in for other ions, and so like that actually creates flaws in a lot of crystals. I don't know as much about gems because that's kind of like their own thing as opposed to minerals, but
Okay.
like that's like impurities cause colors which are so important. So even
Yeah.
it's kind of
Which is why rubies and sapphires are two different gemstones as far as soul casting is confirmed, even
But
though
the
they're
same
both corundum.
Yep,
Mhm.
they're both corundum.
Mhm.
And amethyst and smokestone are both quartz, and
Yep. Lots of things
heliodor
are quartz.
and emerald are both beryl.
There we go. So yeah, there's something-
Corundum. Fun fact about corundum. Welcome to Corundum Cast. Is that corundum is the second hardest naturally occurring thing behind diamonds. Cool.
Cool.
look at that.
Cool.
Well, we learn things on this podcast.
I've
do.
researched that long ago for my
Yeah.
own purposes.
And sometimes they don't even have to do with Brandon books.
That's true. That's true. That's true. That was research from me. Cool. Why don't we move on?
Cool. Next question is from the unnamed questioner. Did the Amians want Amia to be scoured? And Brandon says no, but doesn't mean that they... Some of them may have seen what happened as necessary, but certainly was not a prevailing thing.
That was the theory that we had on our Avia podcast.
Yeah,
then.
and I do
Yeah.
wonder if the questioner listened to the podcast before us.
Well,
This
so
would be cool.
actually, this is a person who was right behind me in line. I think this might have been Ivory Cat on Discord, because I think
Okay.
I was hanging around her during the line, and I showed them my list of questions. I forget if it was Ivory Cat in particular, so I think it might be.
Let us know in the
but-
comments if it is.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I was chatting with people, and I'm like, "Hey, this is my list of questions," and they're like, "I like this question," and so that's where
Yeah.
they got the question. To be honest,
Yeah,
Okay,
anyone
fair
who hears our question like read aloud though. If you want credit for it, like feel free to like let us know, and we'll put your name down for any of these questions.
Not only that, you can just register for an account on Arcanum, and you can find all these at wob.coppermind.net. You can just sign up for an account. It's different than a Coppermind or 17 Shard account, and you can just edit it yourself.
True.
And so you can just attribute it yourself, or you can ping us in Discord and or on the forums, and we'll get that sorted out. We really like attributing questions to whoever.
Yes.
So
cool.
If that's you. Yeah.
Back to Amia.
Yes.
This is nice because one of our theories where they scoured it themselves, which obviously now this kind of proves obviously they didn't want it to be scoured. But then there's still a possibility that like they had to do it in defense, like a kind of scorched earth kind of thing, and some one or two jabronis, like, you know.
We were like thinking that they were trying to like defend the Dawn Shard there. Maybe if it's a Dawn Shard, we don't. The Amius podcast got
it's
pretty.
A Dawn Shard.
They got pretty speculative there. It's a great podcast. But that's I don't know. Good confirmation. I'm surprised we didn't just get a Raffo. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
they didn't talk about the scouring much.
Yeah. All right, guys. So this next question, I need to do some setup. So when I was writing my questions for MisCon, someone reminded me about a random word of Brandon from 2017 from Sofia in Poland, which was that said...
For the record, it's the city Sofia, not
the
a person named Sofia.
Yeah, right.
Their name could have been Sophia. No.
Yes, I got a lot of info from Sophia, the person. No, I wasn't even there. But
you weren't in Poland?
Yeah. Anyway,
Sophia's not in Poland.
I don't know. Oh, it's Bulgaria. Okay, whatever. I could
Good
literally
thing
just
Arjun
scroll up.
isn't here.
I could just scroll up. Look, I don't know these things. Anyway, this questioner asks, if you were entrusted with a shard of Adenalcium, which shard? And Brandon said, maybe Ingenuity. I had completely forgotten about this. This was not well known to me, and someone actually tweeted to Peter about Ingenuity. And Isaac replied and said, I asked Brandon, he said readers can interpret his words how they want. And I completely forgot about this
podcast.
Pretty much. So I'm like, I like getting new shards. I love doing that. Yeah. So anyway, I ask, so you confirmed this last summer. Is Ingenuity a shard? And Brandon's like, and he puts his hand on his chin. He like scrunches his eyes and he's like, And he does this for a while. And then he says, maybe. That's what he says.
Not even
because
a Raffo.
Brandon is a troll.
Yes. So I want to ask you guys, is Ingenuity a shard? And my initial impressions, which I put on Discord as soon as I got this, because I was very excited, was that it is, but he really doesn't want to canonize it because there's not that many shards, and it's still really like kind of early in the Cosmere. That's my hot take. What do you guys think?
So, behind the scenes, there's been discussion about this as well, about whether Ingenuity even works as a name for a shard. So,
I think that's no less weird than autonomy or endowment.
Yes.
Like,
So,
ambition, yeah.
I think Ingenuity could be a shard. I think this would satisfy the requirements of an intent, but I don't think it is.
Why do you say that, Ian?
Right.
404, weary not found.
Okay.
Wouldn't he just Raffo it?
That's what I'm thinking. I have spoken to him face to face about shards before, and he has said he does not want to canonize any shard until it appears in a book, and has
he said that?
He has said that. I
Excellent.
don't think I got that recorded, unfortunately.
I'm kind of with Ian on this one.
I do not pay grace before the
we disagreed on the TN thing earlier, so
that's true.
we don't
Okay,
agree
that's
on
true.
everything.
Just most things.
Most things. I think it could be. I think the maybe might be something like there is a shard similar to this, not necessarily named Ingenuity. Could be.
He's the one who gave the term Ingenuity.
He's the one that gave us the word. So I think because he didn't raffo it and he doesn't want to confirm any shards, I think that's why he said maybe. Because he could have just said no, or he could have just given his line of "I don't want to confirm any shards,"
or just raffo.
Just raffo. He said maybe, which makes me think it is, and he doesn't want to confirm it. And also, I don't like the name Ingenuity.
Yeah.
This was also you asking the question, Eric.
Yeah.
So
well,
he's more likely to troll you than a random person.
That is true. He has trolled me many times. Like, I remember at SpoCon, David, when I asked how many shards have been on Roshar, and he's like, well, technically all of them. That's true. And I did keep wheedling him about Aiden Alcium's opposition, and he just kind of let me do that. It's all my fault. It's all me there. And a few others, I think. But I don't know. Well, okay. So Ben, you don't like the name Ingenuity. David, what's your hot take?
My hot take is Brandon was in Bulgaria. Probably didn't think that we were there listening to him, even still. And so someone asked him what shard he wants. Yeah, and he's like, you know what? I'll just reveal something here that these people will know and no one in America will know. But luckily, we had someone there. And so afterward, he's like, oh, really didn't want that to blow up like it did. And so I think that's thing one. And thing two is he probably similar with a couple other shards hasn't firmly settled on the actual name he wants to call it, but he wants something related to wisdom, related to cleverness, related to something like that to be the theme for one of the shards. And so he might not have picked Ingenuity directly, but that was what was in his head when he said Ingenuity in Bulgaria, and that's where he's heading.
So going into the not wanting to canonize a name yet, we do know that Autonomy wasn't canonized until they were working on the graphic novel.
That's true.
Yeah.
Really? I did not know that.
Because it was the Shadows of Self.
It was Shadows of Self release party, and I'm very salty that I wasn't the one to get it.
Yeah.
Because I think he raffoed me, and other people kept asking it the entire night. Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think it was a bunch. No, I don't think so.
I was under the impression that it was asked multiple times that night.
I don't think so.
But I don't know.
No,
it's been a while.
I don't think so.
That sounds kind of familiar, but
Brandon actually turned to Isaac, who was nominally in charge of Words of Radiant, of White Sand rather, and asked do we want to canonize this? Are we happy with what we have? And Isaac was like, yes, Autonomy.
Cool. See, I would like. I'm kind of with David on this, where maybe he hasn't come to the name yet, because Ingenuity to me sounds too technical. It's more of a word associated with technology. I think creativity would be a much nicer name for it.
The definition of ingenuity is the quality of being clever, original, and inventive.
I heard someone say innovation the other day, which I like less.
Yeah.
Oh, innovation is that's really for me that's way on the other wrong side of the.
For the record, I would love a shard named Ingenuity.
Yeah.
I just don't necessarily think it is one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ben, why don't you like the name Ingenuity for a shard?
Like I said, well, that was my reason. Is it sounds too like a technical term? It's. I don't know. I'm trying to think of real world examples of when you'd use the word ingenuity, but I guess you do really. It's not really a common word.
I mean, in general, you use the word ingenious, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, that feels to me associated with like technology, but maybe it's just because we live in a technical world and I'm an engineer.
I don't know. I feel like it's,
you know.
That's very similar. Like, oh, that person's ambitious, ambition, ingenious, ingenuity. Like, I don't know. I would not be surprised if and that feels really shardy to me. Ingenuity.
Mm-hmm.
That's my hot take. I like that. I like it better than like wisdom. If ingenuity is a shard, I wouldn't think wisdom is personally. They're not the same.
I think those are two very different things.
Well, I mean, they are different, but there's also like
ODMV passion.
I personally would prefer creativity just because it feels more like a all-encompassing kind of thing related to, being clever and being original.
Well, I think
I don't think creativity is going to be a shard because investiture is often referred to as the powers of creation. So
I don't think it can.
That's just too close there.
Maybe that was Ada Nalcium's intent.
No,
swear to God, David.
I do like, a part of me does like ingenuity just as a term, but I'm literally wearing a necklace that means cleverness, so
cleverness doesn't sound like a shard name. Like,
it doesn't. I'm saying I like the idea of a shard that encompasses that idea.
Yeah.
So do you think that there is a shard that encompasses that, and it's maybe not called ingenuity, but that's probably a shard?
Yes, I think so. Yeah,
I would think so.
If so, all right, we're kind of agreeing there.
Okay.
Where would that shard be?
They probably wouldn't be hiding and surviving. So
probably not.
Probably
it would
not.
Probably not be the shard who is hiding, who wants to survive. No, I would say not.
Oh, you'd say not.
For which idea?
Ingenuity, creativity in general, I do not think that is the shard that just wants to hide and survive.
I think that shard would maybe be one that is at Silverlight.
That would be cool.
That would be interesting.
I can imagine a shard whose intent is all about creation and new ideas being really drawn to this center of all of these people from all of these different worlds collaborating.
I could also see Silverlight wanting to be shardless. Like they don't want to be tied to anyone. They are Switzerland. They are Cosmere Switzerland.
That's true.
I could see that as well. I think that's probably more likely, but I guess Silverlight is a nice place.
Because maybe if there's a shard on Silverlight, that will just eventually draw the attention of other shards and wreck crap. You know, like there is a risk. There's also some benefits because a shard could just wreck you anyway.
Yeah, right? But then we don't know how that would fit in with 17th shard's non-intervention. like, are they technically interventioning on themselves?
That is actually
if there's
true.
a shard there. Yeah. Like they. But I think maybe Ingenuity's on Vax. There we go.
Great. More Vax. Sure,
what
why
else
not?
can we say, really? Like
anything with Vax, I'm like, sure, why not?
The boombox is from Vax.
That's right.
Might as well be.
For people who don't know, Vax was mentioned once in Secret History, and Brandon has very consistently rappoed everything about Vax.
I think
it's also mentioned in the Elantris Ars Arcanum.
Yeah, that's right. It also is, and it's just like
we know they've got magic. And it's a planet.
Maybe it's a place. Probably
it's a place. That's all Brendan is willing to confirm. Or that he's implied that it's a place.
Yeah, I don't even think he was explicit that it's a place.
Yeah.
I feel like Ahti didn't wake up and go, Vax, my vacuum cleaner, where is it? Like, I don't think that was what was happening.
No, okay.
Like
that I don't think is the case.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, because we have quite a few shards that we don't know about. And it feels like there's 6.
Including the one that wants to hide and survive.
Yeah, that's one of the 6.
Yeah.
You mean Kelsier's shard?
No.
David, oh my god.
Okay. That is another thing I want to talk about. People just being like, if Kelsier was a shard, he'd be survival. Well, it's like, well, he's not yet. Maybe eventually, but he's not right now. And if there was a shard named that, then it would be that name that mostly independently from who Kelsier is, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
And also, the one that wants to hide and survive is not named Survival.
Definitely not.
Well,
Definitely not. That's very important to remember.
Yeah.
Very important.
I feel like once we know all 16 shards, there will still be people who are theorizing a survival shard. Like, that's been around, like, since people were trying to figure out what shard Dominion was, you know?
This is all my fault. This is all my fault.
I can't believe you've done
it
this.
But I'm just wondering where these other shards are, you know? Like, I feel like there's not a lot of new Cosmere worlds that Brandon's talked about, really.
If he's not talking about the shards, he's not going to be talking about the worlds either.
No, I know, but,
Yeah.
like, not even talking about, like,
Okay,
a
Aether
different
Planet.
okay, Aether
Wherever
Planet,
that is.
true.
Wherever
Yeah.
that is. Bax, if that's not the same
Bax.
thing.
Yolen, there could be some shards
Yolen,
there.
there could still be
maybe.
a shard on Yolen.
Don't we know
Multiple,
there's at
maybe.
least one that's not on a planet?
Yeah.
Don't we have
Yes,
confirmation
yeah, that's
about
true.
that?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
True. So maybe
Well, I
we'll
don't
just
know.
see that in Era 4.
That feels
shard.
boring for them. I don't know what they're up to, but
See, I just think just because Brandon hasn't talked about more planets doesn't mean there aren't more planets. Like,
Yeah.
No, I
There's,
totally agree with that, Ian. I totally agree with that.
mhm.
I'm going to quickly search for the word shard world because I vaguely remember
Oh,
there
God.
being
There-
people thinking there's 10
At one
shard
point,
worlds.
Brandon said there
Yeah.
are 10 core shard worlds.
and then he
Okay.
has never explained what qualifies something as a core world or not. Like,
And he
if
has
Braids
also-
is a core world, if Ashen's a core world.
He's also said he's kind of come away from that idea of minor and major shard worlds.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
He
That's the
has,
impression I got.
Yeah.
That, like, how would you categorize Threnody in that? Like,
Yeah.
Threnity's
Yeah.
getting
Super
more
weird.
Cosmere wide, right?
Oh, yeah.
And, like, maybe it was minor, now it's
Yeah.
more important, right? Like, so I
Yeah.
don't think there's a hard line.
Yeah,
between
it's going to
those
be
anymore.
Scadrial, Yolen, Rashar as the big three pillars with, like, Cell in there, and then everything
And
else.
Nelphys.
No, I mean, but, like, Cell is going to be, like, of the series that Brennan has called, like, the tent poles of the Cosmere.
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah,
those
right,
are, like, the big planets that we're going to see a lot of action on.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Anything more to say on maybe Ingenuity?
Probably.
On this podcast.
Probably not today. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know. New shards are very exciting, and maybe this is one. So that's cool.
Maybe.
I don't know. That's the impression I got, that he just didn't want to canonize it. And David, I think that is very likely that in Bulgaria's like, yeah, I'll give a word no or two.
Yeah.
We're always there. We're always there, Brandon.
So moving on to another question from Jess.
Yeah.
Do Rosharans store their gemstones and spheres in an imitation or inspiration of the spheres in Shadesmar? Brendan, no, they don't. There is a relationship there, but that's not what caused it.
How many words of Brandon have we had on spheres themselves? Like the creation of spheres.
Not a
and stuff
lot.
Like that. I feel like there hasn't. I don't recall anything.
Yeah.
I do
okay,
not recall anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. Okay, so I think that the relation he's talking about, I thought was something that we know, pretty common knowledge, that the cognitive realm of a planet is based on things that are prevalent on those planet. Like the cognitive realm on Scadrial is made of mist.
Mist. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
cognitive realm, and so the reason that the things are represented on spheres on Roshar is because they use spheres as their currency, and spheres are something very important to that culture.
Well, Brandon's saying, like, it's not one caused the other.
Well, no, the question is asking the other way around.
Yeah.
Well,
do
no,
they
in
use spheres
imitation
because of-
or inspiration of the spheres in Shadesmar.
Well, what
Yeah, but
Ben's
they wouldn't be
saying,
an imitation or inspiration. It'd be the reverse.
It'd be I'm saying,
Yeah,
they're saying
Ben's saying they made spheres, and then Shadesmar was shaped from that.
Ian
The
is
other
saying that is under imitation.
So the gemstone spheres being inspired by the Shadesmar spheres would be the in imitation. The inspiration is the gemstone spheres inspired the spheres in Shadesmar.
That's
This
not how I
covers
interpret
both.
that's
that.
no, this
I
that's
don't
not
think
how
that's
that's worded. This
interpret
person
I
is saying
think there's a pretty clear. The Rosharan's gemstones, are they in inspiration of the spheres of Shadesmar? Like, I don't agree that the causality is going both ways in this question. I don't agree with that.
they are directly asking if the Shadesmar is or the gemstones are caused by Shadesmar, and
Also,
I'm saying no, it's the other way around.
I just asked Jess, and she was like trying to get at a relationship between those, and it was just this one direction. It was not both directions in her intent of asking the question.
Yeah.
Just straight up.
Okay.
Like she asked a question about Shadesmar, and she was just trying to dig into Shadesmar-y stuff, and so that was her goal with that.
Okay. But that's what I think that relationship is. It was shaped. We don't know why spheres are important on Roshar. That actually might be
who made
cosmic
spheres?
reason
That's the
for
thing.
that.
See, I think they
just
could
light.
both be inspired by a third thing.
Maybe.
Well,
Maybe.
that's true.
Yeah, see, I think the spheres are spheres because, like, as I mentioned in the Ars Arcanum, although we haven't seen this in the book yet, so I kind of don't like that, fire inherently behaves weirdly on Roshar due to the high oxygen, so they needed a
That's
source
true.
of light, so they put their gems inside clear stuff, like inside the spheres, so they could be used as a source of light.
Yeah, that is
That's
true.
it just seems weird to like, let's make lots of glass spheres that contain
Yeah.
gemstones. And like, how hard is this glass? Like, wouldn't it break all the time? I don't
Yeah,
know.
there's like lots of weird stuff about it, because like you think, is it soulcast, but like there's bubbles of air trapped in there, which makes you think, okay, so that was crafted naturally.
Yeah.
Brennan has been asked. They are both soulcast and hand blown.
Has he ever said who makes them? Because does every kingdom just agree that they're using the same currency, and just is it be like I've
I was
also
gonna say,
about
having
where
one-
spheres are coming
Having
from.
one currency across a whole planet is kind of weird. Like,
I feel like this is something that was instituted during the height of the Radiance.
Absolutely. And then Stormlight was
yes.
valuable, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like they do mention, like I guess further east in west in Roshar, like they don't use as many spheres. Like sometimes they are just loose gemstones. That's mentioned in Oathbringer.
Oh.
But yeah,
With spheres, they just always... If not everyone on Roshar is using it, like, it's not pervasive as the mists, Ben.
that is true. It is
Right? Like, mists
yeah.
are so pervasive on Scadrial that it makes sense that the cognitive realm would, like, have that there, but, like, if the
Did
spheres
the
aren't that relevant-
South have the mists?
They
Or were
would-
they concentrated
think-
in the North?
like back in the day they did. Like
I guess they would. I don't see why they would.
like back when they were
Um,
global, like every night probably.
Yeah.
True.
I don't know, but I would assume that the mists would be helpful for the people in the South during the Final Empire to not just all die.
True.
Yeah.
And preservation, preservation's power permeated the planet and would just kind of inherently want to protect. So I feel like they could, but I don't think we have any direct confirmations
don't.
on that at all.
Because
So
I don't think the mists could survive on most of the planet, because a human couldn't survive on most of the planet. It's too hot.
it's
So
yeah.
it's like, so maybe like in the southern pole, like the small region directly opposite of the Final Empire,
yeah.
maybe it just feels like it just feels weird that there would be two different blobs of mist.
Well,
But
Though
we
I
don't
suppose,
really
like-
we don't know how the Southerners survived during the Final Empire. Like
But
we
I
still don't
suppose
know that.
They wouldn't both be night at the same time, so it could just be one blob of mist jumping.
I was going to say they only come at night, so the mists might just be on the night side of the planet. That's a
I haven't
crazy
even thought
theory.
about that
Ignore
before.
That wasn't the point I was going to make. The point I was going to make was mists aren't made out of water vapor like normal mists because they don't leave morning dew like a normal
yeah, they're
mist
not.
would.
Yeah,
They're
so,
not water vapor. They might not be affected by the heat of the sun, so they might just be everywhere all the time.
But that was part of what Brashek was doing, that was like moving the planet closer to the sun to burn away the mist, was like part of his
That's
whole plan.
true.
Yeah.
But maybe it's just as simple as the brighter it is, like in the daytime, right?
Yeah. You
It's just
can't see
gonna
it 'cause
like
it's-
maybe the mists aren't disappearing, they're just becoming invisible or something. Like it's just power. It's not like going away. But I
It
don't know.
could
It
be.
is very weird.
No, we don't know.
right?
We don't know a lot about the mists.
No, we
Yeah.
really don't. Someone should definitely ask were there mists on the southern.
That's a really
pole
good question.
That's a really
during
good
the
question.
Final Empire. That is a great question. But I don't know. I would like to think that the mists were over like the entire planet, but just like if you were in the Burnlands or something, then they were just invisible and you just didn't see them.
Yeah.
Maybe. Like, I don't know. That's the thing that
I
makes
don't
sense
like
to me.
the invisible mist idea.
Well, I don't know. Why do they go away in the daytime? I don't know. We don't even know why that happens, right?
No, they definitely don't all the time because they're not inside buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They won't go inside buildings.
They don't go inside
Like,
buildings.
they're super weird.
They're super
like,
weird.
I don't know.
Cool.
It's very strange.
And like Brandon's talked about two kinds of mist. I don't think we've even seen the other like ruin mist anywhere aside from like maybe in the well when Vin walked in there.
Yeah, the
like,
black
in that
smoke
moment.
is ruins mist.
Yeah, but he said
Yeah.
after Harmony came around, there's now two kinds of mist. We've never seen that be a thing.
Yeah,
God.
That's true.
because there's preservation mist and ruin mist.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But
right.
like we don't see any ruin mists ever. So
No.
Yeah.
This is not talking about spheres at all, but it is interesting.
yeah.
How
I don't
did
know.
we even get to this point?
Well, because we were talking about Shadesmar.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
how Shadesmar
So
and Scadrial
I
work.
could see there being a single progenitor to both spheres and to the spheres in the cognitive realm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also
Yeah.
I like that.
the idea that Radiance started the whole sphere thing because they
Yeah.
could just soul cast them and it would be very easy for them to do that.
Yeah.
And then like other people would hand blow them later when they don't have easy access to soul casters. You know, right?
Yeah.
Like that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like, what did they use during the Desolations? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bronze Age societies don't really need like currency.
Well, yeah, and
Yeah.
it does make more sense that, hey, the Radiants were everywhere, so there's relationships between all
Yeah.
these things. So like, oh, hey,
Yeah.
spheres, they're useful.
Yeah.
Ooh, let's move on, David.
Alrighty. This is another one from Eric. He's got
Oh,
all
I
these
love
good
this
questions. Yeah. Odium said to Teravangian, you did this without access to fortune or the spiritual realm. How does one access fortune without the spiritual realm or ferrochemical chromium, as almost all future sight tends to utilize the spiritual realm in some way? Brandon said, so that line is mostly me saying, and he paused for a while, I think you're picking apart those things too much. Eric said, right, that makes sense. Hey, Odium said it, so I don't know. Got to take that seriously. So Brandon said, don't read too much into picking apart those two things. You can read it as, honestly, that is making sure I'm being clear in the text. Eric said that those are two different things. And Brandon said, yeah, those are two different things, but they are just interrelated. Fortune is a property and the spiritual realm is a place, but not a place. Do you know what I mean? To use fortune, you're always involved in the spiritual realm, but in the spiritual realm, you're not always involving fortune. And that's the
Makes
important
sense.
part.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way that this makes sense. That
Yeah.
fortune makes sense at all, because all future sight does use the spiritual realm, because that's where all things are one.
Yeah.
And fortune's just like a way that you kind of get a little bit into the spiritual, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you're not like looking into the spiritual realm. You can do other ways to see into the spiritual, right?
Yeah. You can mess with your spiritual DNA, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Oh no, it's this one next. So, Brainless asked, is the cognitive realm on other planets called Shadesmar? And Brandon says, for simplicity's sake in translation, for the most part, we are going to use the word Shadesmar, acknowledging that in some languages it may be a different word. But the Cosmere standard used in Silverlight and things is Shadesmar. That's just for ease of talking about it, but the scholars in Silverlight, they use the actual word Shadesmar.
That makes sense.
Eric then replied,
I basically said that Brandon just made Ian very sad, and I did explicitly say
Not
this.
sad. Not sad at all.
What did I say?
Annoyed.
Annoyed. Yes. Right. Annoyed. Yes.
And
yes.
then,
and Brandon was. And we were chatting. This is at the informal Q&A. And I just said, well, Ian wants it to be the cognitive realm.
yeah. And then Brandon replied, yep, I suspect that as we move into Era 4, the cognitive realm might start replacing it. The more scientific term, but Shadesmar is the colloquial term. And I am just as unhappy as you are about this, Ian. I do not like Shadesmar as the Cosmere standard.
It's why doesn't the physical realm get a colloquial term? Why doesn't the spiritual realm get a colloquial term? This is stupid.
It's not good. Like, why don't we all just start calling all birds chickens in the Cosmere? And why don't we just start calling all the alcohol wine? Let's just take all of the Roshar words and apply them to everything. Why not? Because it's the Silverlight standard.
Wow. The salt is so real.
I do not like this at all.
See, it makes me more interested to know what planet the word Shadesmar came from, though, if they're using it on Silverlight
Brandon has
and on
said
Roshar.
it's a Rosharan term.
It's a Rosharan term. So why are the people on Silverlight using Rosharan terms?
Because
That's
they're
a
stupid.
fantastic question.
No, I'm just curious like why, like if they make up a bulk of the people there, or if there's some other reason. But
Well,
I think it's a convenience thing. I mean, they live there. Shadesmar is a lot easier to say than Cognitive Realm. There's
Also,
that's
like,
too long to say.
if you are
Cog
a
realm.
normal human, right? Okay,
mhm.
on like Scadrial.
Theoretically, if I was a normal human, yeah, carry on.
Okay, yeah. In the Cosmere, on Scadrial, and someone's like, yo, there's this other place. You don't need a colloquial name for the spiritual realm because you're not going to go there because you will not continue to exist if you go there.
Yeah,
So,
then that's a
like,
good point.
And like, if you're in the physical realm, that's just usually where most people just were. And
Mhm.
so, like, it's like if you read urban fantasy, like if you read Harry Dresden, like, oh, there's this other place and it's called the Never Never. There's lots of things in fiction where like this other place is given a colloquial name. Like, I don't
Yes,
think that's that weird.
I
But the
don't
problem
think
is
that's the same thing at all.
This is not the same thing because
I
in
think it's
those
exactly the
fictions,
same
in
thing.
those fictions, the names we don't know where they came from. The author can just make it up as it came along. We know
Well,
where this
that's
word
true.
came from, and we know that like it's not. I don't know why they're using it because it's also I don't like the
Well,
name. I just don't like the name Shadesmar.
Well, that's-
I will admit that.
Okay,
Like-
okay,
Would you-
fine.
Would
But
you
like,
prefer?
also, there are lots of, Spren, and there are cities there, and like, I don't imagine that that's common in most worlds.
That is true.
Like,
yeah.
if you had, like, there's Silverlight and Roshar that have lots of activity
This-
happening in the cognitive realm.
Well,
So-
Gnosis has
Dude.
customs, so I'm
yeah, but
sure
we
they
don't know
have
how
some
extensive
activity.
that is, right?
and we don't know what time
Scadrial.
period that is.
Yeah.
Scadrial had some activity, so I wonder what their word for it. Like, was it Mistsmar? I don't know. Like, but
It was probably Mismar, actually.
yeah,
I
probably.
don't
Mismar.
know how many
Shit.
people. I'm just saying there's actual, like, citizens of Roshar's cognitive realm that have existed for a very, very long time.
Is
right?
Shadesmar a word in the Spren language, though, or is it not?
I don't
Did the
know.
Spren
Because
say
Brandon
Shadesmar?
has said Shadesmar translates to cognitive realm.
I know, but like, is Shadesmar the Spren word? Because if it's not the Spren word, they got their own language. They wouldn't be saying Shadesmar in Shadesmar, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's a human language.
But then, like,
it just
even
doesn't make logical sense to me.
Even if
At
the
all.
Spren on Roshar have their cities and they have their civilization in Shadesmar, on Roshar in the cognitive realm, when other people start coming there, why would they suddenly start just like saying, "Oh yeah, all of this is Shadesmar"?
If it
Like,
makes you. If it makes you feel better, we're
Yeah.
not reading any of these in their native language,
Yeah,
and we're just connecting and translating whatever this book was originally in, and
then
for some
translate
reason,
it to
the magic
cognitive
is just
realm.
like
It
saying
should
shade.
translate to cognitive realm. That's my entire point.
look,
that excuse
Look,
does not
Ian,
work.
The
because
next time you see Brandon, you can complain about it a lot.
I'm
but
actually
you
very
saw
glad I
Brandon.
did not remember about this.
yeah,
Oh,
Because I would have yelled at him so much.
I'm just saying, I did my best. I told him you were not pleased, and I did that. Okay.
Yes.
It is better than everyone having their own word for it. Like if Sal was
I'd rather
talking
have
about that,
Yeah.
and they okay, but like for people who are trying to understand the Cosmere, like if they're saying Mismere
Yeah,
on
that would be
Scadrial
very
and we're saying
confusing.
Shadesmar and they're saying Colormere and Malthus, like no one's gonna.
No. I'd be fine with that because then you could define those locations as those planets. Like you have the what's it called? The
Expansive.
expanses. Yeah. Like
Subastrals is the technical term.
No.
And there was a long yes.
okay,
My
cool.
apologies.
And at one point in the past, Brandon did say that Shadesmar was a region of the cognitive realm. That is obviously no longer
I
the
think
case.
he's changed his. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
obviously.
I'm annoyed about. I am
I mean-
somewhat appeased that cognitive realm will start replacing it once we get into Era 4.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
It's just a simplicity thing for people who don't know the Cosmere super well.
The
Just
people
use
who
the
don't know the
cognitive
Cosmere super
realm.
well
How
don't
dare
won't be that
they?
interested. Like, if you're a non really into the Cosmere person, you're a casual reader, and you start seeing this same word appearing in other books, that's going to be more confusing than if you're reading these other random books about the cognitive realm, and they have their own names which fit with that planet. Like, if you're just a Mistborn reader
No,
or
I
something,
I totally just think about it from a writer's perspective, Ben. That is dumb. Sorry.
I think Brandon's probably trying to get people on board for the Cosmere because, like, the last Mistborn series for people who aren't
That's a good
on
point,
board for the
yeah.
Cosmere, they're going to be like, "What the hell is going on?" Like, that's
and
not.
like,
Yeah.
where would you see if you're a writer and you're thinking about, where did we see the cognitive realm the most? Roshar. Okay, so this is a shorthand for readers to understand. This is Shadesmar. It's the same sort of.
I have
place,
just
right?
had the horrible thought where if all the books called them different things, we'd have so many people in the forums asking, "Are
Yes.
Mistmar and Shadesmar the same
Yes,
place?
that's
Is there more than
a
one cognitive
really
realm?"
terrible idea.
And,
And I'm
yeah,
glad
so
there was
yeah.
This is not the darkest
And-
timeline.
But we still get people asking, are there more than one cognitive realm?
Yeah, but we'd have more.
So
And from
Well,
It happens.
from
I think we should move on.
I think we should move on because we got a lot more to do and we're taking forever. So
was
let's
gonna say,
continue.
I was going to say, Grace, did you have a point? Because you're the only
Oh,
one
I
who
was just
can
going to
say
say,
that.
from the reader's perspective, Shadesmar sounds cooler than Cognitive Realm.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
I
Rule of cool.
To disagree.
Well, that's fine. Welcome to Saltcast. Moving on to some paraphrase stuff.
Yeah, so this is Da Pi?
That's actually still brainless. Yeah.
Oh. Okay. So in Mistborn Era 1, Trelligism is dualistic religion worshipping Trell and his brother Nult. Trell seems to be significant in the Cosmere. Is Nult also significant in the Cosmere? And Brandon. Yes, they are. And then him digging for Rapho. The Trell we see in White Sands isn't just a coincidence, though. And Brandon. Trell was in the first book I wrote, and I deliberately chose to keep him in the graphic novel interpretation.
I did tell Brainless that that was the case, and it's totally correct. So there you go. Obviously, it's intentional because he kept it in the graphic novel.
Though I do like the graphic novel interpretation.
Well, this is a paraphrase
Because when
one.
the new prose
Yeah.
version comes out in 3 years,
I didn't get a quick, recorder on this because this is happening after a panel, and I felt that was a little rude, so I didn't record that.
you don't
I-
just
I
hold a
completely
recorder in your
understand.
hand whenever you're just casually interacting with Brendan in case he drops
No, I
something.
don't do that.
Oh, well,
No, and neither should any of the listeners do that either. And then one other one that actually happened right after this one, at that same thing that I didn't get recorded. Jess asked, in one of the Mistborn epigraphs, Alendi quotes the prophecies about the Hero of Ages, and one of the lines is, "His name shall be Discord with a capital D." Was that line in the original prophecies? Brandon said yes, and then to clarify, he asked something like, "You're asking if Ruin added that," and Jess said, "or altered it." To which Brandon said, no, he did not.
Very interesting.
That is
Mhm.
very
Yeah.
interesting.
mm.
I don't know what it means, though.
I don't know what it
okay.
means. Well, Jess was thinking that maybe if
Well, I know what she was meaning to ask. I don't know what that means for the Cosmere.
My interpretation of this would be that if Sazed had picked up the ruin and
Yes.
preservation and kind of was a different kind of person or interpreted them differently, he wouldn't have ended up as Discord, and
Yes.
he would have
Yeah.
been a chat
if
program.
Ian
for everyone
didn't
on
interrupt
Scadrial.
me, that is exactly what I was going to say. That Jess was meaning to ask. Actually,
Yeah,
Okay.
So yes, I agree because that
Yeah.
is what she was going for.
yeah.
I was rephrasing what I was saying because I realized it could be construed one way when I was meaning it another.
Well, just another interesting thought that I could throw in that I don't necessarily believe. Are we sure that that part of the prophecy has not yet come to pass? And that Harmony will develop into a less positive thing or start having more and more trouble holding both those shards?
I feel like Jess asked a
Possibly.
question about this.
Maybe.
Maybe she was just talking to me about asking something like this, and she didn't actually go for it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember.
But just like, because I think I was talking, was it you I was talking with Jebus about the possibility of him giving up, if Sazed eventually giving up one or both shards in the future? It might have been someone else on Discord, but I was talking with someone on Discord.
Yeah.
I thought she just asked another Shadesmar question too at this phase, but I don't know.
But just an idea.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think she was asking. I think she also asked a question that if a Radiant could infuse the spheres in Shadesmar, and she got Rafford.
Not necessarily
that was a question.
The spheres, the obsidian material that makes up the ground.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Cool. Let's go on to BookCon.
Alrighty.
Yes. So,
do you have any general BookCon thoughts? Yeah.
Yes, I do, because I finally got to meet Brandon.
Yeah.
He was at the Scholastic, the Random House booth before his panel for a few minutes, which is where I got to meet him. And I walked to the Random House booth and saw him. He was like in the background getting pictures taken of him. And my heart started to race and I was freaking out. And so I had my bag and I knelt down and got my books out. And mentally I'm thinking, do I just go up to him? Like,
yes, the answer is yes, because lots of people did that at MisCon. Yeah.
Yeah. So thankfully, Emily, Brandon's wife, saw me and came over and introduced herself.
That's sweet.
Yeah. So I spoke with her, and then Brandon came over, and I got to ask him some questions, and he signed me some stuff. I showed him the Aeon Iane that I designed. So,
oh, nice.
That's cool.
And
did you like it?
Yeah.
Cool.
That's a good thing it wasn't just like, no, that looks terrible, and I would never, ever.
Brandon would not say it.
And I got to meet up with Apple Ravioli and the Sentinel, who are both on the Discord, and got to hang out with them and Emily for a little while. We went to Brendan's panel, and then afterwards we hung out for a while. So that was really great.
I haven't
had
met
a lot
Emily
of fun.
too much. I think I very briefly said hi to her. But I haven't talked with her a lot, so very cool that you got to hang out with
Emily is a fantastic person. My favorite line that she said was that it still weirds her out that people are so excited to meet meet Brandon, and she's like, he's just my husband.
That
must be funny.
Yeah.
She is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good. Cool. Shall we get into WOBs?
Let's do it. Okay. First one we got going. Questioner, is Hoyd's real name Sephandrius? Brendan, no, but it is one of his earliest aliases.
Which we knew.
We knew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Ooh, I like this one.
So, Windrunner 88 asks...
Not David on the podcast.
Yeah, no, not... At the present, who is Odium more afraid of? Harmony, Dalinar, or Hoyd? Brandon, Harmony. Odium is extremely confident that he can outsmart Hoyd. Okay,
that is amazing.
I personally think that is the wrong answer for Odium, from what we've seen.
But it's perfect for enemies that used to be friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it makes sense that they would feel that way. Like, man, will we get some Hoyd race scenes? I mean, probably not, because Race will just kill Odium? Kill Hoyd instantly?
Yeah.
But
in Dragonsteel.
Dragonsteel.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that'll be fun.
Because it just reminds me of how Brandon said, oh, Kelsier and Hoyd, not friends at all. And that was amazing. And so I want to see like this more, you know?
Unless Hoyd is being protected by multiple shards during this conversation.
Look, I don't know how this is going to happen, but I want to explore this on screen.
Yeah,
you know,
I would love to see that too.
Yeah.
Maybe in Dragonsteel.
Stormlight Secret History.
Stormlight Secret History.
See, he says Odium's more afraid of Harmony, but to be fair, at this point, he probably should be more afraid of Dalinar.
See, that's what I was saying. Of the three of them, I think Harmony is probably honestly the one least likely to hurt Odium right now.
But Odium thinks he can take care of Dalinar and Hoyd.
Yeah.
Harmony is more powerful than him.
Oh yeah,
so he's
definitely
going to be wary.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know, I feel that Dalinar is a threat, but just to Odium's plans, not to Odium's being.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not a direct challenger in that way.
Eventually, Dalinar is going to die. So
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
it
you could
doesn't.
say the same about race, Maybe.
Well,
Maybe. Fingers crossed.
Dalinar is a mortal man. Race is
For now.
effectively
For
a
now.
god.
Yeah.
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 So this next one was asked by this guy named WeiryWriter.
Wow.
It
He
sounds like a
sounds
pretty
pretty
cool guy.
cool.
Yeah.
He writes really long
some
questions.
of the first swabs
Yeah.
that you've gotten, Ian. Very
Yeah.
exciting.
So at Emerald City Comic Con earlier this year, you stated that Singer gem hearts are a milky white color and looked like bone/bone marrow. You also said they were related to something in Dragonsteel. Having read the samples chapters of The Lyre of Partenella a while back, I couldn't help but be reminded of the skull moss, which is a bone white color. Are the Singer gem hearts related to the Fane life in any meaningful or important way? To which Brennan very matter-of-factly said, yeah, they're very similar to Tamukeks. At which point,
God,
I just turned to this sentinel who was standing beside me, and I was like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah. Listeners, if you don't know what Tamukeks are, don't worry, neither
That's
do
fine,
we.
because you don't. You definitely
Yeah.
don't. I
Yeah.
definitely don't know what they are.
I
Yeah,
guess,
I mean-
is there a Thane life? I guess, maybe?
They have to be.
They must be. a
Because
Thane
the
life.
question was about, are they related to the Fane life?
I think that is probably the more interesting part of the question at this point, too, is that there is a connection, which is odd to me that there would be.
I will just say that Tamukeks are in the Dragonsteel.
Oh, it's been like just the fact there's a connection between Fane life and Parshendi, or in like the singers. Like that
Yeah.
is weird to me that such a connection exists without like you getting into what it is.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised he answered me. I was expecting a Raffo.
That's a definite
Fane life
Raffo
seems
bait
like
question.
a super Raffo, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Although, like, if you kind of, I mean, it's not that weird because I mean, at the end of the day, like reading those Dragonsteel sample chapters that were posted in the run up to Oathbringer, the singers replaced the Shodell, did they not?
That
Yeah.
is
Who
a
were
good
also
point.
Fane. So like
they
there's always been Fane, like, you know, fighting something Fane on the Shattered Plains in the
Yes, that's
Cosmere
true.
since forever now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
They literally fought the Shodell in Dragonsteel, and you can read those sample chapters.
On Brandon's
On
website.
Brandon's website, yeah.
Yep, on Brandon's website. No Tamukeks there, I don't think. If I
But
remember.
there's some
think
cool
so.
stuff, though. They're worth a read if you're interested in seeing how Stormlight came to be.
Look, the only cool part's when the dragon shows up. Let's be real.
I liked it. Oh well.
Well,
Not for the story. If you're going in there to
Oh,
like
yeah,
find
yeah.
a cool
Sorry,
story,
sorry.
that's not why you're there. But
Yeah, Brandon wrote it better in Way of Kings, and you should just read that again. Let's be real. Yep. So, yep, that is a thing, and that is a very good point, David. That has always kind of been like, hey, Parshendi were the replacement for Shodell and stuff.
That's a really good point that I had not considered.
And I guess I can't talk about this anymore, so maybe
Yeah, let's
should we
move on.
Yeah,
Let's move on. All right. So Kaladin's in charge of the Windrunners, right? Brandon, yes. Questioner, is Lift in charge of the Edge Dancers? Brandon, you'll have to see in the next book. Lift is the first Edge Dancer they've found. Lift is not so good at being in charge of anything. So I wouldn't say the first one discovered has to be in charge. Different orders of Knights Radiant lend themselves to different styles of organization. Like, some of them are a lot more disorganized than the Windrunners, who you'll see have a very militaristic organization to them.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep, totally.
I can't imagine the Edge Dancers having a structured organization with a leader.
I don't think
Yeah.
so. Yeah, I would say no to that
Mhm.
one. Skybreaker's also militaristic, obviously.
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be cool to see how the various orders develop like their own little character
Oh,
as
yeah.
time
That's
goes
gonna
on.
be so
And it'll be
cool.
interesting how that compares to the Radiants in ages past.
Historically.
Yeah.
Will they
Yeah.
develop along the same lines?
Yeah.
Because I could see it going either way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Probably like similar but different, like kind of like a shade of kind of what they were, but not the
Yeah.
same, you know?
Mhm.
But, well, yeah, we'll see. The Spren are kind of pushing them along certain paths, so.
They are,
Yeah,
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Next one from Unnamed Questioner. Have we seen Wayne in any other series besides Mistborn Era 2? Brandon. No, you haven't. Good question.
Thank goodness. I All right. I personally find Wayne to be a fine character, but that Brandon likes too much. Personally. I know lots of people really love Wayne, so don't get your pitchforks out. I mean, you could get him out a little bit. That's fine. But I just want Wayne to be gone at the end of Era 2, and so we don't just see Wayne just being weird for Era 3 and Era 4 and randomly on other planets. I don't want that to happen. I feel very strongly about this.
I feel in a similar vein. I really like Wayne as a character. I like having him about. I think he's funny. I can't stand his point of view chapters and would happily have those never again. But he can turn up on other planets if he wants to. But his chapters can't.
Maybe we should have a Mistborn podcast on Wayne and thoughts on Wayne. I feel like that could be a podcast.
Yeah. Hey, he's going to die earlier than normal, though, because he's spending so much time in those time bubbles that he's just burning through his life. So he won't even make it as far as regular.
If Brandon likes him enough, he can make it happen to make him a World Hopper.
Yeah.
That's what I'm worried about, okay?
He does like
it's always a side character, too. It's usually not a primary character who ends up being a World Hopper. So
don't entertain this thought. This is awful.
Except for,
No. Brandon, no.
So for this next one is another one from Ian, which I'm going to paraphrase massively because there's quite a lot of confusion and
Brandon misinterpreted what Ian was saying repeatedly on this.
Essentially, Ian, you made the connection that the Misspren we saw kind of seem a little bit similar to the Night Watcher, and you wanted to know if the Night Watcher is to Misspren as the Stormfather is to Honorspren. That's
which I have talked, which I have talked about before on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure have.
And I have to scroll all the way to the bottom of this wall.
It's really long.
Because Brandon kept thinking I was talking about the Mist Spirit on Scadrial.
But is the Night Watcher related to the Mist Spirit? No. That's not what I'm saying.
After all
not
of
that we know of.
It was a Raffo. So
yes.
Great.
Yeah, it was a Raffo.
Longest Raffo.
All that confusion and you Raffoed me. Which is why I think he took pity on me and answered the Tamukek question.
Oh, was that after that?
Yeah. Yeah. That was immediately after this one.
Oh, that's cool.
He's like, I Raffoed that. You could ask another.
Did you get a Raffo card?
Yes, I actually got 2.
Oh, nice. I don't know if I have one anymore.
I don't think he had them when I met him.
I don't know. He gave a few to MisCon. There was one time where Brainless was just like, I gotta ask. Or no, it was Glamdring. He was asking, oh man, I just want to ask a question that'll definitely get Raffoed, so I got a Raffo card. I'm like, yeah, I'll give you some topics that'll just Raffo instantly. That's not a problem.
And so this next one isn't really a word of Brandon. It was more a comment from me saying, I'm still upset that Miss Friend is not the Truth Watcher's friend. They're the only ones that didn't fit. To which Brennan replied, yeah, okay, I can see why you would be annoyed by that.
Our friend's just yeah, well, you know.
Yeah.
So, the next one was also asked by Windrunner 88. So far during the Stormlight Archive, we've seen that the Sprendbond appears to have some distinct advantages over what Tanavast via the Oath Pact provided the Heralds. With the exception of Nail, and the fact that the Heralds had no need for Stormlight, can you please tell me one way in which a Herald had a distinct advantage over a level 5 Radiant of their corresponding order? Brandon. Rebirth. The Heralds had access to raw levels of power that no Radiant could claim.
And in this, apparently Windrunner 88 just had a giant crestfallen look on his face after he just said rebirth, which is good because you know what? I want to see a Herald being awesome in this series. Just a little bit. They can die right after, but I just want to see them be really awesome.
Brandon says that rebirth is a perk, but I'm not sure I agree with that. With the
especially that version of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. They definitely have something because Tal caught that dart out of the air that was shot at him.
Oh yeah.
So they
that's true.
They definitely have something.
Yeah, and then the Stormfather, when Gavilar is talking to him about like having Jezrian's honor blade, or Jezrian, or whatever we call him at this point, how that there are powers that he doesn't know how to access that he could get from that, more or less. Like, there's more to it than just being a Windrunner unoathed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. We've really got to do a reread of Oathbringer and do a podcast on that. We really got to do that real soon.
Man, if only someone was doing a video series about it.
Yeah.
I'd be on that podcast. Yeah, where are the videos, Ben?
The script writing is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
I know, it is hard. All right, so let's go to some paraphrase words of Brandon. So DeSentinel asks, would it be possible to have a bunch of iron fairings store a bunch of weight into some iron, turn that iron into steel, and then use that steel to make guns as a cheaper alternative to aluminum? Brandon, yeah, but the guns wouldn't be immune. And Ravi says, but they would be resistant. That little extra time could make a difference. Brandon, yeah. DeSentinel, and the guns would be harder to see with iron/steel sight, correct? Brandon, yes, they would be. Do keep in mind, however, that we get a very skewed perception of the world and how important stuff like this is because the main characters of the books are allomancers. This just isn't something that is important to the average person on the street. But this does relate to some things later on in the series.
And the impression was very much Era 3, Era 4, not so much Era 2.
Yeah.
Like, and it's invested metal like this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know how useful this really would be, because we've only seen one time that a metal mind is truly immune to pushing and pulling, which was the bands themselves when they were full.
Well, the point isn't immunity, it's resistance.
I know, but continuing with what I was saying, like, if he's talking about, especially in the case of like a gun, if all you can do is lightly push on it, that's gonna be enough to throw the shot off.
Yeah.
Like, that's
it's
not
true.
You don't need a heart. You need to throw it across the room to make someone miss what they're aiming at.
Yeah. And as Brendan said, the majority of people on Scadrial are not allomancers who like to shoot people.
Yeah.
Other allomancers. It's a very specific use that most people wouldn't care about.
That's true. Cool.
Okay. So this is actually the very first question I asked. So in Mistborn's Secret History, the leader of the Eyrie is named Elonoi. This is also the name of the lake in Aerolon. Is she named after the lake? Is the lake named after her? Or Brandon Raffo?
What a surprise. Also, just that Aeonic pronunciation. Aerolon. I will never do it. Never. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any comments on that?
Let's see. I feel like she predates the lake. That's just my gut. I don't know. I think that'd be kind of cool.
I don't
think
know.
she could
inclined to think that.
I don't think she could predate the lake. Maybe the naming of the lake.
No, yeah.
I suppose if we're getting technical, but yeah. I think.
Welcome to Pedantic Cast.
I think she was just named after the lake. You know, why not just name you?
Who gets named after a lake, though?
I don't
We
know.
don't know how old the Eyrie are, and
Very, very, very old.
Do we know if they're older than Elantris, the book?
We know that some are pre-Riad and some are post-Riad.
Really?
yeah, like
No, I did not know that.
yeah, like it's very strange. And we kind of need more info on that, like what the Rayad did to them, things like that.
Yeah, I wonder how they were feeling that whole time, or why they didn't just go back and like draw that line themselves.
Well,
Be
the
like, okay,
fortress
guys.
didn't need to exist on Scadrial during that time because
But they were probably alive somewhere.
I would agree with that. Yeah, sure.
For me, I mean, we know they're Elantrian, so for me, it's like, I don't really care.
I think that matters a lot, personally.
Okay.
This question matters a lot, and unfortunately, we got nothing. But
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Alrighty. This next one is from Ian again. So in the Way of Kings, Ars Arcanum, we get a really good explanation of the different kinds of favorials. Then in Words of Radiance, we get a new kind of favorial, one that attracts certain substances, but they weren't discussed in the Words of Radiance, Ars Arcanum. And they are not in Oathbringers either. Brandon. Yeah, this is actually something Isaac's been bugging me about. There is no reason they were not included other than me being lazy.
Great. Also, beta and gamma readers don't get the Ars Arcanum, so none on the team could fix that. So
that's why sometimes you find errors in them.
Yeah, that's really true. All the time, really.
And this next one is also from Ian. If there are fabrials that can attract substances, are there ones that repel? Brandon. Yeah, there are.
Which, not surprising.
No.
But I just wanted to get that confirmation.
I was like, did you forget that we have actually seen these? We have not seen. We have. Navani gives Dalinar's archers in Words of Radiance special bows which repel water to keep the strings.
No.
No?
She sets up fabrials that attract the water out of the air.
Oh, okay.
They drop the humidity.
He wrote the Fabrial article.
Yes,
okay,
I did.
Yeah, okay. I may have been misremembering that. Okay, you're right.
Ian, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, he does know those things. Great. Well, that's all of them. There's others on Arcanum, which is, again, wob.coppermine.net, and you can sign up for an account and help transcribe. There's some other stuff that does still need to be transcribed, but there's not, not relevant for the podcast. And, yeah, if you were at any of these events, please make sure you get your question attributed here, and there are definitely other things that we didn't talk about here.
Or if you asked a question and it's not on the record and you want to let us know.
Absolutely.
We'd also be stoked to see that.
Yeah.
Post those not on Arcanum, because Arcanum is not a primary source, except for audio.
Yeah. So please just post those on the forums in the event thread if you have such things like that. Great! Well, I think we have one more thing to do.
Guess what time it is, guys? It's Who's That Cosmere Character time! Woo!
All right.
Right.
Yeah.
Remember when we had some complaints this morning? I have a complaint. So we were running a bit low on Who's That Cosmere Characters a few weeks ago. And then on the forums, I discovered that a gentleman named Kidpen had created a thread called Who's That Cosmere Character Forum Edition, where they essentially are playing Who's That Cosmere Character on the forum. But then he specifically says, don't send these into the Shardcast. And I'm like, no, don't do that, because that thread has way more suggestions than we've got in the email inbox. So please send them to the 17th Shard, who's that cosmere@gmail.com, because...
For the record, I have not read this thread.
No, I haven't read this thread either.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I haven't got these from there. We actually had a massive influx of them in the last, 2 weeks. I guess people have been really liking
great. So your complaint is just it's not even relevant. But we might run out of them.
Look, we might run out one day.
Well, good. I'm glad you're not harassing listeners as usual, where it's this question sucks. As most of us have done at this stage.
Right. Shall we get on with the first character? Is everyone ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Listeners,
Yeah.
You ready at home? Here we go. This first clue is actually a twofer. This character is human and is originally from Scadrial.
Ooh.
Felt.
It is not Felt.
Is it Red from Scadrial?
It is not Red from Scadrial.
Turns out there's another character from Scadrial who is also has the same name Red in another place. But so we got to ask Brandon if that's a world hopper too.
If it is, I'm going to be so annoyed because I just split those articles in the copper line too. I just put them right back. Let's see, not originally. Or is originally from... That seems like that is implied they are a world hopper, but...
Could be Erewhon, I don't know.
Demu's wife, whose name is probably Asladin, but we're not...
It's something like that.
Confirmed.
It is not Demu's wife.
Oh, okay.
And Grace, you recently got access to the Who's That Cosmere Character email address.
I
Have
did.
you read this one?
I don't remember this specific... If I remember it, I won't guess.
Okay, cool.
Okay, great.
If I remember reading it, I won't guess. I might as well go with Demo. Finish out the...
Not Demo. I forgot to mention this one's from Hoid It Through the Grapevine, which is a great name.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Also, they put a note after the first clue saying they'll probably guess Felt.
Yes.
That's true. That is true. Can confirm.
The second clue is this character is not a member of the 17th Shard.
Eatil.
Wow.
It is not Eatil.
Okay, good. Because I was going to have an issue.
That would have been inaccurate.
Yes,
that
it
would be inaccurate. That's true. Wait, so the first clue said is originally from Scadrial?
Yeah, bear with me, let me just get the exact wording. Is originally from Scadrial and is human.
Huh.
Oh, they're human? Oh. Okay, because I was going to say the unnamed Chandra that is somewhere on the shard.
I'm going to go with Kelsier.
I was going to do that.
It is not Kelsier.
I feel like this is all a trick clues.
I feel like it is too.
Yeah, because originally from Scadrial doesn't mean they went anywhere else.
Look, I think it's going to be something in Era 1. It's my gut.
I do too.
And I am going to go with Bilg.
It is
go with
not,
oh my god,
not
Bilg. Wow.
Wasn't that the
specific.
first? That was the first fan sent in Who's That Cosmere character you guys did.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
I know because it was me. I sent it in.
Well, there you go.
Excellent. David, were you guessing the named Chandra, or are you not gonna? You got another guess?
Well, I have no ideas aside from that unnamed Chandra. So.
Cool. They put next to the second clue, they'll probably guess Eotil.
This is very fun with the notes, I must say.
The third clue then is this character is pierced by metal.
Oh.
Sazed?
It is not.
No, he's not
Sazed.
currently pierced by metal. That can't even be a thing.
He might be in his dissolved body somewhere.
Well, it doesn't say
It doesn't
Is
say
it?
currently. It
Okay,
just
that's
says
true.
is
Okay,
pierced
alright.
by metal.
Zane.
It is not Zane.
The fan favorite? Damn.
No.
Technically, Sazed was not pierced by metal.
No.
He
Marsh.
was when he got
Marsh.
rings shot into
No,
him.
wait,
He
no,
was
my
dead.
guess
true,
isn't
true.
Marsh.
Yeah.
No, my guess isn't Marsh. It's Carr.
It's not Carr.
Another incredibly specific Era 1 character. From
Arrow
Era.
1. I'm gonna roll the dice. I'm gonna get it eventually. Okay.
Well, you're like Waylon, the random guard that gets a coin shot at it. The Dan Wells cameo.
Yeah, that's right.
Anything, Grace? You got
Wait,
anything on this
I think I maybe remember seeing this. I'm not sure.
one?
So just pass for me.
Okay.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Okay. Right.
We'll
so
see if I was thinking of the same. If I'm right.
cool. Right. The fourth clue is this character is seen acting out the plans of another. And before you make any guess, I'm just going to go through all of them because you're definitely going to get it on the fifth one. This character is human. This character is from Scadrial. They are not a member of the 17th Shard. They are pierced by metal, and they are seen acting out the plans of another.
Is it
Or a
Mr. Suit?
It's not Mr. Suit.
I was going to say or a sir, but he's not human.
They're not human. The plan of another. Oh, the Lord Ruler?
It's not the Lord Ruler. That's a really good guess, though.
Like
Vin.
acting out Ruin's plan?
And it's not Vin. And you're gonna hate me for this one.
All right.
The clue number 5 is this character's name is in an earlier clue.
Human.
It's human. This character is human, the Koloss that Vin makes best friends with.
Oh, man.
Okay, that's clever.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll take that. Even though Koloss are not technically human anymore.
No.
Right?
No,
The
they're
character is human. The character is human.
The
Character
first
is
clue
human.
is telling us who the character
yeah,
is.
okay, all right.
Which isn't against the rules. Probably should be, but I guess just
Yeah, I think going forward, that is against the rules.
That'd be like if the first clue was this character is shy, spelled SHAI, but you just read it shy.
that would have been a great
yeah, don't
one.
do that.
But see, Brandon says Shay, which is stupid.
Yeah.
That is stupid. That is stupid.
Brandon likes the long A.
He loves the long A. I know there was someone who posted an iTunes review, which you can totally do. Please do that. But said that this podcast would be better if they could pronounce Adenalcium. And I'm just saying, Brandon likes the long A, unless you're referring to Ben pronouncing it wrong, which is totally justified. But
I'm pretty
just
sure that
saying,
was.
we say Adenalcium with the long A. I remember lots of people like it should be the short A. Brandon says it long A. He loves the long A.
Would that be Ardalnauseum?
Adenalcium.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
Adenalcium would be the short A.
Is the long sound, maybe. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, it is
I
the
don't
long. Yes. Let's do the next character.
Yeah.
Cool.
Man, I'm disappointed. We're going to get that.
Cool. Clue number 1. This character is a priest.
Hrathen.
It is not Hrathen.
Norden.
It is not Norden.
That's a good one.
That's a good
That's
one.
a really
Who's
good
that?
one.
He's the happy obligator. In,
right.
Hero of Ages. Yeah.
I love Norden. I guess him a lot, actually.
I'm gonna go with Larimar. That's how you say it, right?
Ooh, yeah. That's
Oh,
a good
yeah.
guess, too.
The Larimar.
That's a good one.
These are all good guesses.
It is Larimar.
I did not remember that at all.
I'm super suspicious of you, Grace. I'm keeping an eye on you.
Will I have to just
out.
sit out from Who's That Cosmere Character from now on when we're both on?
You're fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry.
What are the other clues?
The other clues were this character lives in a country with a king. Clue number 3 was this character spends a lot of time with his brother, and you guys probably would have gotten that.
Yeah.
With that one, yeah. Clue number 4 was this character has had a crisis of faith, and clue number 5 is his character is in the court of Halandron. That was sent in by Manukos.
Excellent. Thank you.
That was a good one.
Lucky early guess there, yeah.
Sometimes we're just really lucky on those early guesses. Priest is pretty specific, especially when it's not if it's you probably could have chose a really arcane.
There's a couple
Ardent,
minor priests in Oathbringer that get mentioned because that's where I was heading.
Yeah.
But
Were you gonna go Kadash?
I was going to go Kadash, and then I was going to go to the more specific priest that forbade them from marrying.
Well, I was thinking
who was
an
that?
Ardent doesn't count as a priest.
What is her name? It starts with a. I think Ardents are count as priests.
Yeah, Ardents are
Well,
priests. Yeah.
I mean, Grace has an interesting point that of the people. Well, I guess Hrathen's kind of like a priest, but the one who's directly called a priest is Larimar.
Yeah.
Who's definitely called a priest, specifically.
Anyway, that Ardent's name is Chanada. Took me a minute to remember.
There you
but,
Oh.
I was
Cool.
Capsol also. Would
There
have
you
been
go.
one of my further guesses.
Oh, yeah.
I'm undecided as to whether Ardents would be priests.
Wait, what's the argument they're not?
I don't know. I don't know enough about priests.
In my mind, I was just thinking,
Clergy.
well,
I mean-
I'm blanking on the name. The Elantris ones all have their own specific names, and the Rosharan ones are called Ardent. So I was like, probably Nalthus.
Yeah. I don't
That's true. You power game
Yeah.
that. That was good. The only ones who actually called priests. That's true. You're right.
Well, no, I think Father Omine is called a priest.
Oh yeah, no,
Okay,
he
maybe,
is a
yeah.
Karathi priest. Yeah, it's just the Fjordell ones. that
Yeah,
are
the
priests.
Fjordell ones aren't priests.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Karathi have priests. Yeah, that's
Omen
true.
would have been a good one, too.
Yeah, that would have been a good one. He's not a minor character either. He's actually a character. He's a dialogue.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning into this one. Hope you enjoyed that. You can find us on 17shard.com. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes. Leave us a review on iTunes and rate it. You can also find us on Google Play. You can find us on all the places. Say hi to us on Discord. There's lots of places for you to chat with us.
Yeah.
So please feel free to do that.
And
Yep.
send
And-
Who's That Cosmic Characters into Who's That Cosmic Character at gmail.com and put nice things because we really appreciate when you put nice things and it's
Yes.
nice. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Definitely. And also, just one last time, Arcanum is wob.coppermine.net, where we're getting all of these Words of Brandon, where we transcribe all the things, and it's pretty great. So you should go check it out. We have very nearly 10,000 entries. We're so close.
Oof.
We're like 130
That's a
off.
lot.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's like one signing away. I think we're
One
big
a real
major
good signing. A good signing.
like a
yeah.
release party away.
Like
yeah.
a release party, yeah.
What I
Yeah.
want to know is how that compares to a Brandon book. Like, what does it compare to?
We could probably get Mestiv to do a word count of all these.
Yeah, I'd be interested to find out.
That'd be funny. Anyway, we will see you guys next time.
Call.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace out.
Call. Screw you, Jebus.